and welcome. You are watching Primetime News on TV1, bringing you the news. I'm Kumar Singha. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Protests in several areas demanding for fertilizer. First stock of liquid nitrogen from India to be brought down to the island tonight. Minister Dulles speaks about the fertilizer policy of the country. Governor of the Northwestern Province to take stern action against teachers who do not report to work on the 21st.
25 වෙනිදාට කවුරුත් ආවොත් විනය විරෝධී ක්‍රියා කරලා ඔවුන්ට පාසලට ඇතුල් වෙන්න ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Teachers will not report to work on the 21st and the 22nd. Joseph Stalin says strike action will continue.
අයවැයේදීත් අපිට මොකද තුන්නේ නැත්නම් අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම නැතිවරණ වර්ජන වගේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා.
First Test cricket captain of Sri Lanka, Bandula Warnapura, bids adieu.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
As it was mentioned in your headlines for tonight, protests organized by farmers were staged in several areas across the country today as well. Farmers continued to criticize the government for their failure to provide a solution to the fertilizer crisis in the country.
The Polonnaruwa Joint Farmers Association staged a protest in Polonnaruwa today, demanding the government to provide fertilizer in time and to refrain from importing substandard fertilizer from overseas. 35 farmers' organizations attached to the Parakram Samudriya Farmers Movement were present at the protest.
These people do not have the faintest idea about agriculture. They do not have an intention of bringing down fertilizer that are of a proper standard. The Minister of Agriculture doesn't know about the initial fertilizer that we used. Give us the fertilizer that we need. That is what the farmers are asking for. The Minister of Agriculture has failed. The government has failed. The 5 forces of our country are out on the street against the government and the ministers. Give us the fertilizer that we require. What did the government do during these 6 months? It's been 6 months since they took this decision, and what have they done? Because of what you have done, there will be a famine in the future and people will die of hunger. You will have to take responsibility for that.
Farmers in the Mahaveli 8th zone in Thalava also staged a protest today. The protest was organized by the Mahaveli Farmers Collective. This was a situation that arose when a lorry carrying fertilizer was about to pass through the area where the protest was being staged.
We ask these unwise ministers not to come to our village asking for our votes. Give us at least 50% of this fertilizer. There are no political bodies behind this movement. This is the strength of the farmers. We are speaking on behalf of farmers. We are asking the government for at least half of the usual amount of fertilizer that we get.
The protest, organised by farmers of the Rajangane Left Bank Farmers Organisation, was held at the Parakumpura Ura.
We are asking for fertilizer to be provided to us. Even if we die, we will not abandon this struggle. We voted for you and appointed you to office. We will not vote for you ever again. Do not come to our villages again. We will chase you away.
Farmers of the Koggala Farmers Organisation staged a protest demanding for fertilizer today.
They released water without any consultation of the farmers. They convened agrarian leaders via Zoom and released the water. This is unfair. Release the fertilizer that you are hiding. The president will wait until all the issues pile up and then leave the country. There is nothing we can do about it. We would like to ask our farming community not to be fooled by these dirty political games.
තක්කඩි පාලකයන්ට හැමදාම රැවටෙන්න එපා. අපි හැමදාම රැවට්ටුවා. රටේ නාඩිය තමයි මේ මිරිකගෙන ඉන්නේ කියලා අපි පාලකයන්ට කියනවා.
කිරිබත් කැපුව පාරේ යන්න නෑ. බලහත්කාරයෙන් කිරිබත් දුන්න. දැන් කිරිබත් කවන්න ඕන මහින්දානන්දට. මේ වගේ පක්කඩි වැඩ කරන ජරා මේ ආණ්ඩුව ඕනම නෑ මේ අහිංසක
A number of protests organised by the Samagi Jana Balawege demanding solutions for the fertilizer crisis and the cost of living were held today in several places in the country. This protest was held in Vellava, Kurunagala. Farmers in Mahayangane pleaded the gods to provide them fertilizer today. The farmers were gathered at the paddy field located near the Mahayangane 49th mile post.
The first consignment of 100 litres of nano-nitrogen urea fertilizer manufactured by the Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative in Gujarat is due to be brought to the Bandaranaike International Airport tonight. The Ministry of Agriculture yesterday said that the Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative had agreed to provide Sri Lanka with a total of 3,100,000 litres of nano-nitrogen urea fertilizer. The mass production of this fertilizer began in June this year. Meanwhile, the Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture said local agronomists were also involved in the production process of the fertilizer.
Local agronomists were involved in the production process of this fertilizer. The company has the patent for the fertilizer produced in Sri Lanka. I see this as an opportunity for Sri Lanka to use the results of our professors and doctors who worked hard to produce this fertilizer using nanotechnology. Earlier we saw a situation where we were not able to produce fertilizer although we even had a patent for it. We cannot change that. We cannot locally produce this fertilizer in a time span of 2 to 3 months. An Indian company has the patent for this. However, they have promised to provide us with 3.1 million litres of fertilizer for eco-friendly agriculture here in Sri Lanka.
Has the government withdrawn from the organic fertilizer policy? Questions were raised regarding the matter during today's cabinet meeting.
The government is not of a harsh or stubborn stance on any matter. This is not a bad policy, but the debate is on the time frame. It will take some time for us to reach our goals. During that time, we will look at the issues of the farmers, their harvest and their economic situation. When the need arises, taking one step back is not a bad thing.
The fertilizer crisis and the salary anomaly issue of teachers and principals have not yet seen a viable solution. The government decided to open schools with less than 200 students on the 21st of this month. However, a number of principal trade unions are adamant that they will not report to work on the day that the government has decided, but on Monday. It has already been announced by several other trade unions that they will launch a strike action starting from the 21st. On top of all this, the provincial council administration bodies have announced strict decisions since most schools that educate less than 200 students are operating under provincial councils.
Governor of the Northwestern Province and the President of the Communist Party of Sri Lanka, Raja Kollure, says that he will consider suspending the salary of teachers who do not report to work on the 21st of this month. The chairman of the Communist Party, which is one of the major leftist movements in Sri Lanka, further said teachers and principals who violate their service discipline will not be permitted to enter their respective schools on the 25th of this month.
Under
labour law in Sri Lanka, in an instance of a strike, the people who engage in the strike do not get paid. I have informed the relevant authorities to present a report on the attendance of teachers and principals. After obtaining the details of who was present and who was not at their respective schools, we will take action if they have violated their service discipline. This is a decision I will take. I will operate in the capacity of the Minister of Education here. I will take steps to suspend the salaries of teachers and principals who will be absent on these days. Anyone who doesn't report to work before the 25th will not be allowed to come to their respective schools on the 25th. The Education Secretary of the Southern Province, putting up a notice on papers, had previously said that teachers and principals attached to schools with less than 200 students should mandatorily report to work on the 25th. The notice further read that steps will be taken to appoint the most senior teacher as the acting principal of schools if the principal of the school has not reported to work on the 21st.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dala Saleha Peruma said he is not of the opinion that everything can be done through the law.
Do not think that everything can be done using the law. There are things that can be done using the law, and there are things that cannot be done with the law, especially when speaking about teachers and principals. We don't believe that their issue can be solved through oppressive measures. It is clear that we as a government are not of that stance. We are all hopeful that this drought of 1.5 years will end and we will be able to feel a drop of rain. So we make a request to all teachers and principals of this country and the supporters and members of our government and the entire citizenry, do not try to determine the winner and loser of this struggle. The winners of this struggle should be our children.
Several teachers and principals trade unions highlighted today as well that they would launch a continuous strike action since their salary anomaly issue is yet to be solved.
Some leaders have changed their trajectory even after seeing victory. This is extremely sad. Taking extensive measures to provide more strength to the struggle is what should be done. But if the trade union leaders do not understand that, the fate that will befall them would be tragic. Therefore, we will continue the strike action that we have announced. Opening schools on the 25th is yet another political decision taken by a political party. The SLPP says that teachers should report to work on the 21st. It is because the teachers and principals struggle was launched according to a political agenda that they were unable to meet their demands for 24 long years. We invite all the trade unions to join us in our fight. They did not stop this strike action following a favourable response. If so, they could have called off the strike action after the discussion they had with the Prime Minister. Calling off this strike is an act of betrayal. A chairperson of a particular service union said that she saw significant usage of sign language during their meeting with the Prime Minister. That has been confirmed now. We will engage in continuous strike actions from the 21st of this month. It is not the political trade unions that carry out this struggle anymore. Now the government has a good opportunity to solve this matter. Most likely these unions will come together on the 21st or the 22nd. We are hoping to hold discussions on that.
The following views were expressed by trade unions who agreed to report to work on the 25th.
We have to be clear about one thing. Our struggle will continue. Who is saying that we betrayed the struggle? The same people who try to separate the teachers and the principals. We will launch a strike action when teachers of the 4th tier join us. We do not have the need to go forward with only one faction. We have humbly requested the Cabinet Subcommittee report as part of the Subodhini Committee report. We will strengthen our struggle furthermore if the total payment is not given to us. We will take strict action before this government presents the budget on the 12th of November.
අපේ අරගලේ පෙරට යනවා. අයවැයේදීත් අපිට මොකද තුන්නේ නැත්නම් අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මැතිවරණ වර්ජන වගේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග සියලු වෘත්තීය සමිති කමක සාකච්ඡා කිරීමෙන් පසු අපි තීරණයක් කරන් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා.
The first corps of the Sri Lanka Army was established recently. The first corps of the Sri Lanka Army will serve as an active military reserve formation available to address unforeseen situations or exploit sudden opportunities and maintain their military skills and readiness.
The formal ceremony of the inauguration was held at the Saliyapura Gajaba Regiment regimental headquarters premises under the auspices of Defence Secretary Retired General Kamal Gunaratne. The exclusively designed flag of the Corps was presented to the new 1st Corps Commander by the day's chief guest, General Kamal Gunaratne. The Chief of Defence Staff and Commander of the Sri Lanka Army, General Shavinda Silva, then visited Iranamadu in Kilinochchi and established the 1st Corps. The newly raised 1st Corps, composed of the troops of the 53rd Division, 58th Division, Commando Brigade, Special Forces Brigade, Air Mobile Brigade, Infantry Brigades and a few other arms, is headquartered in Kilinochchi. Major General Harendra Ranasinghe assumed his duties as the new commander of the 1st Corps yesterday. The Corps was established under the Way Forward Strategy 2020-2025 of the commander of the Sri Lanka Army.
One of the burning questions everyone has at the moment in Sri Lanka is how soon will the provincial council elections be held? The provincial council elections came back into the limelight after the Indian Foreign Secretary's visit to the country. The stance of the government regarding the provincial council election was today expressed at a media briefing.
There is a massive issue on the electoral system here. We need to solve it. There are 4 different electoral systems for the 4 main political bodies in the country. We need to fix this anomaly. That is the reason why the President said that this electoral system must be changed while preserving the positive features of the proportional system. I cannot give you a specific time frame, but after the electoral reforms, the elections will be held.
එතකොට ඉන්දියාවෙන් ණය මුදල් ලබා දෙනවා අපිට ඉන්ධන ලබා ගන්න. නමුත් ඔවුන් කියනවා මේ වසර අවසන් වන්න කලින් පළාත් සභා මැතිවරණය පැවැත්විය යුතුයි කියලා. කොන්දේසියක් මත තමයි ඉන්දියාවෙන් ඉන්ධන ලබා ගන්න ණය මුදලක් ලබා දෙන්නේ.
The loan from India is not connected to the provincial council elections.
කොන්දේසි නැතුවද ඒගොල්ලෝ ණය දෙන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ?
There can be conditions. All loans have conditions, but I must clearly state that holding the provincial council elections is not one of those conditions. Meanwhile, governing party backbench MP Jagat Kumara said that holding the provincial council elections now is not favourable for the government. We all know that the general public is frustrated and do not have a clear idea right now. There is no possibility to hold elections right now. We must bring an act and amend the electoral system. That will be done by about January or February. Also, the people must be given some concessions. It might take about another 7 to 8 months to do that. I believe at that time the people will agree with many of the decisions that the government has taken now. Afterwards, we can hold an election and we can win it. Without thinking of that, if the government says that elections cannot be held soon, that too will not be favourable to the government. Meanwhile, senior vice chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Nimal Siripala de Silva, said that the party should be strengthened at the upcoming provincial council election. Gotabaya Rajapaksa won the election because of us. While we point out the shortcomings in the government, we will also support him to take the country forward. With that, we have to strengthen our party as well. The more our party is strengthened, we will be able to gain the support of our members. If we are a weak party, they will disregard us. We have 14 Sri Lanka Freedom Party MPs in Parliament. If more members of our party were elected to Parliament, we would have been able to influence government decisions more. There is an upcoming election. We must show our power at this election. You must support us to elect more members from our party at the upcoming elections.
Reports continue to come in on tensions that arose between members of the ruling party. The most recent incident was reported yesterday during a meeting held at the office of the Development Office of Katabulawa in Kothmale. Parliamentarian Nimal Piyatissa, a member of the National Freedom Front headed by Minister Wimal Weerawansa, exchanged blows with Nimal Piyatissa, a member of the Kothmale Pradeshiya Sabha representing the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Sisira Namal, a member of the Kothmale Pradeshiya Sabha representing the National Freedom Front, who was injured in the incident, had been admitted to the Navalapitiya Teaching Hospital. Police have launched an investigation into the incident based on a complaint lodged by him. The parliamentarian and the member of the Kothmale Pradeshiya Sabha who were involved in the brawl expressed these views today. According to them, a disagreement over the funds allocated by the government for development projects had led to the brawl.
They came in forcibly and sabotaged what we were doing. I am one of the people who began the Mahinda Sulanga in the Nuwara district. This Pradeshiya Sabha member is a person who worked against us at the time. Not only that, at the 2018 elections, instead of contesting from Katabulawa, where he resides, he contested from Tispane. He worked under a separate symbol to defeat the candidate that we fielded for Katabulawa. It was this thug-like Pradeshiya Sabha member who completely destroyed the Gama Samaga Pilisandara program of the president. He was expecting to brand this as something that was done using his money. But this 3 million rupees was provided under a general scheme initiated by the president. We are the people who are representing the government. I am a member of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. He is a member of Wimal Weerawansa's party. We are the people who will decide regarding matters of our party. We will not work according to the whims of these minor parties. We are the parent party, and we will work according to the instructions of the President and the Prime Minister. We are not ready to work according to what minor parties wants. That is the reason why the President gave a clear statement. If you can remain in the party, stay with us. But if you cannot, leave the party. That is the same message that we have to deliver to them.
Leader of the opposition Sajith Premadas expressed the following views in Buttala today.
Every government that was created under the free and democratic system in Sri Lanka engaged in politics, but we need to question as to if their politics is satisfactory to the people. We hear many people are disgusted about the current politics in the country. The people are asking for change, not only a change in the people, but a change in the system and the program. That change has begun. Never before in the history of the country has the opposition provided various practical services to the people. Every opposition in the past used to criticize the government, increase the issues the government has to face, stage strike actions, hold processions. Do you remember the Podujana Eksat Peramuna providing services to the people while they were in the opposition? Did they donate RO plants to the people? Did they donate equipment essential to save lives at hospitals? No, they did not. That is because of the age-old system that was in place in the country since independence. They were criticized while in the opposition, slinging mud and trying to somehow bring down your opponent. That was the tradition of the opposition. We are changing that tradition. The Samagi Jana Balavege is a new party, a new force. It is a people-centric, people-friendly movement.
Janatavadi Pragatishili Janahitakami Mahajana Vyapara.
The leader of the opposition expressed these views at a function held at the Sri Poyamalu Rajma Vihare in Baguruvela, Buttala today. The water filter, constructed at a cost of 2.8 million rupees with the assistance of a sponsor, was also declared open at this occasion.
The Sri Lanka Navy has launched a search and rescue operation to locate the missing fishermen in northwest of the Kovilam lighthouse in Point Pedro.
Sri Lanka Navy launched search operations yesterday to apprehend Indian fishermen who had entered Sri Lankan waters illegally to engage in fishing activities. A fishing vessel that tried to escape had collided with a Navy vessel. The Navy managed to rescue 3 fishermen on board the sunken Indian fishing vessel. However, search and rescue operations are still underway to find another fisherman who went missing after the incident. The Indian fishermen are suspected to have set sail from Pudukkottai in Tamil Nadu. The fishing community of Kottaipatnam in India staged a protest over this incident. A report published on Sunday Times on the 11th of October 2015 quotes a research on the economic and livelihood losses caused by the Indian fishermen poaching in Sri Lankan waters and estimates that the country is losing 5.2 billion rupees annually, which is contributing to a drastic impact on the national economy. The research, according to the report, is based on data collected from 1980 to 2013. According to the report, the Point Pedro Institute of Development, a northern-based economic think tank, released a research paper on the direct monetary losses incurred by the fishing communities in the northern province, indirect losses incurred by the entire supply chain of the fisheries subsector, from processors of the fresh fish to wholesalers and retailers, and to the exporters of fresh and processed fish. The report added that with the complexity of finalizing the estimated annual losses due to Indian poaching, there have been few estimates of the loss.
We are crossing out a short commercial break. More news on the other side.
TV1 News First, main sponsor.
Students complete the ACBT University Entry Foundation in 8 months for 288,000 rupees.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Bellboy's got you covered. Download Bellboy today to get all your household appliance fixing and repairs done. Now available on Android and iOS. Do your online shopping with Sambole.lk. Home delivery and pickup now available.
Sambole.lk.
Welcome back to the news. The birth of Prophet Muhammad, or more commonly known as Miladun Nabi, is celebrated across the world today.
Prophet Muhammad, who preached the teachings of Islam, was born in 571 AD and became the last messenger of Allah at the age of 40. He was able to spread the teachings of Islam in a short period of 23 years and devoted himself to change the barbaric state of Mecca and bring peace to the whole world. Issuing a message to mark Miladun Nabi, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says the best way to pay special respect to Prophet Muhammad is to strive to further disseminate his vision to strengthen coexistence among the people. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, in his message to mark Miladun Nabi, says he believes all Muslim people following Prophet's wisely construed way can give their maximum contribution for a better society. Issuing a message on the occasion of Miladun Nabi, leader of the opposition Sajid Premadasa says that the Prophet's vision of loving all creatures of the world will guide the actions of everyone in their daily lives.
The Mount Lavinia beach was abuzz this morning as joint demonstration on search and rescue took place, wowing onlookers.
Sri Lanka's APAD search and rescue team conducted a refresher training course at the Mount Lavinia beach today. The rescue team went through several drills that included IRV boat and rope rescue techniques. The program was conducted together with Sri Lanka Life Saving. The APAD SAR team is a highly trained team of swift water rescuers consisting of individuals who have completed Level 2 certification. The team was recently conferred with national recognition by the Disaster Management Center and will be deployed for swift water emergency situations.
Is Sri Lanka headed for default? A report published by Fitch Rating had commented on the financial situation of the country.
In the report, the director of Sovereigns Fitch Ratings said, and I quote, Sri Lanka's public and external finances remain fragile as reflected in our CCC rating in place since November 2020 and affirmed in June this year, end quote. The report adds that A rating at this level indicates substantial credit risk with default a real possibility. The report adds that Fitch Rating has revised down the growth forecast for 2021 to 3.3% from 3.8% 8% following a surge in coronavirus cases in July to August, which has now subsided. Commenting on the 6th monthly roadmap published in October by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the report states that the authorities have outlined plans to secure funds through bilateral, multilateral and other syndicated loans, but the financing plans contain limited details, including the sources and timelines of financing arrangements. In the report, Fitch Ratings states that it has flagged the need for more enduring improvements in the external and public finances.
The final rites of Bandula Warnapura, the first Test captain of Sri Lanka, were observed today. He was 68 years old at the time of his demise.
The late Bandula Warnapura led Sri Lanka in its maiden test against England in 1982. After concluding 7 years of international cricket, the late Bandula Warnapura served the nation as a coach, director of coaching staff and director of operations of Sri Lanka cricket. The late Bandula Warnapura has operated as an ICC match referee, an umpire and as a development manager at the Asian Cricket Council. Following religious observances, the remains of the late Bandula Warnapura were brought to the Puralla General Cemetery. Past pupils and students of Nalanda College, members of the Bloomfield Cricket Club and Sri Lankan cricketers paid their last respects at the cemetery. The late Bandula Warnapura. Although your innings here on earth have ended, you will forever remain in our hearts.
We leave you tonight with the rendition of Manike Mage Hite by Yohani, coming out from the city of Love, France. Thank you for watching and good night.